Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. It's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're here talking all things real estate. And before we get into it today, just take a minute, if you haven't, please, and subscribe to the channel. Give us a like, just helps us with getting the word out there. And we have tons of content coming out regularly. We want to make sure you don't miss anything. So let's get right into it.
Oh yeah, there's new stuff. Like how many announcements has there been in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, there's an election coming up, right?
Yeah, well, you know.
So that'll do it. But speaking of which, we're going to talk about a news report that was in CBC. I think it was on their television program as well as on the website.
Yeah.
So the headline reads, 2,600 new homes to be sold at 60% market value in Vancouver. Province to kick in 40% of purchase price financing, with buyers responsible for the remainder.
Wow, they're like giving houses away now.
Well,
it's a housing crisis, right?
Yeah, so it's an election year. Oh. I think we've prefaced this with saying it's an election year. And here's the other side of it. I appreciate that the government is trying to do something.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what the report actually says and what is involved in this, okay? So the program is for first-time home buyers. So it's an Indigenous-led condominium project in Vancouver. So the way it works out is the province will support it with financing, and basically the units are being offered at 99-year leases. So they're leasehold properties. So here's how it reads. Up to 2,600 new housing units planned for the Heatherlands in Vancouver will be sold at 60% of the market value, according to a joint announcement by the province and the City of Musqueam, Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. So the parties involved, obviously.
Yeah.
The development is being touted as an attainable housing initiative in which the province will kick in 40% of the financing on the purchase price of the units, with buyers responsible for the remaining 60%. The units will be sold, like I said, in the 99-year strata leasehold. Here's the thing.
Okay.
EB said the cost to the province is...
We're talking about David Eby, the premier. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. EB said the cost to the province is $670 million.
Okay.
So I'm going to come back to... So let me just run through these examples.
When they say the province, that means you and me.
Well, that's what I was going to get to, is the province is us, right? So, yeah. But let me just run through a couple of pricing examples. Okay.
Yep.
So they're talking about a studio unit being $620 and the market price.
$620,000?
Yeah. And they're talking about buyers buying it for $372 with the province kicking in $248.
That'll be interesting.
Right? And it kind of goes down the list. I'll just jump to the end. The 3 bedrooms go 1.5. And so you're buying a 3 bedroom for $900 and the province is kicking in $600.
So like the average first-time home buyer does not buy like a $920,000 anything.
Sure. So let's just say all of those are thrown in there just for the sake of context, that they put them in there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, here's what I think. I like that they're trying to do something. I'm not a fan of using taxpayers' money to subsidize someone in just basically purchasing a home. Oh, should add to this also. EB said the 40% from the province is not an ongoing subsidy, but financing that is to be repaid at the end of 25 years or when the owner sells. So basically, it's not really free money. You're still going to pay it back.
So is the province getting into the banking game?
Well, it almost reads like it, right?
Because the province will finance it, but you owe them.
Right, but you're not paying them monthly. But you are going to have to pay them if you ever sell the property.
Okay, so if my house is 100,000, I know this is like, those aren't real numbers.
Yeah.
But, you know, in 25 years, is my house 200,000? Do I owe them 40% still of the value or what I own? Or do they have a stake in the property, or is it a loan?
It doesn't say, and we don't know for sure what they're looking at with that.
Yeah.
But what I would say is you, now the province,
Yeah.
are one of the mortgage holders. So I have a mortgage to the bank for the 60%, and I essentially have a mortgage with a one-time payout to the province. So if let's say it was 100,000, okay? So I put up 60, or I financed 60, and the province gave me 40,
Yeah.
okay? So however many years from now I sell it for 200, the province still gets back their 40.
They're 40K, not 40%.
Right.
That's okay.
Right. There's nothing in here about any interest or interest payments or anything like that. So I don't know how that part is going to work, but
I'm all about helping people get into home ownership, right? And I know like we can get some flack for like, oh, you guys are realtors. It's self-serving. No, the honest truth is like home ownership is good for everyone. That's it. It's good for your finances. It's good for stability. It's good for all those things, right?
yeah. Yeah.
If it's like, if you stay in a house for a really long time, stability is
Sure.
really good, right?
Yeah.
The government had a program like this before where it would help you with half the down payment, right? Do you remember this one? And you had to qualify.
All right.
So I wonder, like, what qualifications is there necessary for this program other than being a first-time home buyer?
Yeah,
Because, like, obviously, $900,000 three-bedroom home in Vancouver,
Yeah.
like,
So,
first-time home buyers are not buying this.
yeah, it's interesting. They say that the first-time home buyers will be prioritized.
Okay.
So, but okay, here are the specs, if you will. Okay, citizen or permanent resident of Canada, at least one buyer in the household must have resided in the province for the 24 consecutive months leading up to the purchase. At least 18 years old. Buyers must have no ownership interest in any other property worldwide at the time of purchase closing. Buyers must have a pre-qualified mortgage and minimum deposit of 5% of the 60% purchase price, and must use home as principal residence.
Yeah, that's okay.
I mean, that's pretty standard stuff.
That's pretty
So,
standard for first-time home buyer anyways,
Yeah.
right?
So what do you think? I guess that'd be my thing. What is your take on it?
It's not like leasehold is something new,
Right.
right?
Because it's on the Indigenous property. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah,
so you can't buy it. It has to be a leasehold.
Yeah, it's not a new concept.
Right.
It feels like there's like, oh, look at what we're doing. And 2,500 units later, so what? It's just another leasehold.
Sure. However, to get into it is where it's different. It's a leasehold, which is another leasehold, sure, but the government is putting up whatever the number is.
The 40%?
Yeah, the $670 million for the 40%. So I come back to, I think I see the value in what they're doing. I just have some questions about where's the money coming from, and it's gonna be a 25-year, up to 25 years to get the money back.
Is it a bit of a shell game anyways? Because like a leasehold property, you know, the way they're advertising it, is it like leaseholds will sell for less money anyways?
Yes, they will.
So, you know, they're saying of this market value. I'm just curious if it's a bit of a shell game, because like if you look at even if it's a studio apartment, you can't buy a studio apartment for 620 grand, really. Like that seems like an expensive studio. Like maybe in Vancouver.
Yeah, I was going to say this is all based on Vancouver, not here. So
Okay.
yeah, so
But you can go downtown in Victoria here and get a leasehold condo for $372,000 right now.
yes, you can. Haywood.
So are those prices reflective of like what you can get a leasehold already in Vancouver? Like now I want to go look.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say that's probably what
Like, is
they've
that
done
available?
here.
Yeah.
But I come back to a couple of things. I appreciate that the government's trying to do something. I appreciate that it's actually not the government that is behind this initiative. It was the Indigenous
They're
nations.
offering.
They're the ones that here's a great quote from Squamish councillor and spokesperson.
Okay.
And basically they said that the Heatherlands project was conceived by 3 First Nations. It is truly innovative and a uniquely Indigenous approach to development, he said. We are opening up our lands to support the culture and economic sustainability of our people, but also to help provide housing in a city that is desperate for more. So I appreciate that they have taken an initiative to say, look, we have some assets, some resources, some things available that we can open up and make available.
Let's do this program.
Let's
we'll
do
offer
this.
our land. Yep.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that, and I'm that's awesome. In all of this, my thing is when the government gets involved, is what are the checks and balances? Who's got oversight of this thing?
Yeah.
And I mean, they can say, I think EB's quote was, anyone who thinks they can game the system, there will be serious consequences. Well, it's easy to say, but my thing comes back to where's the money coming from?
Yeah.
And how are they getting it back?
Well, yeah, it gives more options out there for first-time home buyers to get into the market, get on the property ladder, build up some equity. Even if it's a leasehold maybe not the most desirable option out there for purchasing, but it's a start.
Yeah, and I think it may be more palatable in the mainland, in the Vancouver area as well. I think, like I said, my only issues were those 2 things: is where's the money coming from, who's got the oversight of that money, and how the program is administered. And aside from that, I think it'll be great for people that are looking to get into Vancouver's market. And I really appreciate that the First Nations were the ones who stepped up and said, look, we can do something and make this happen. Yeah,
well, you know what? It's an opportunity. Vancouver's a very beautiful place to live in the world, right? Yeah. It's fairly safe. The weather's great. Yeah. Lots of amenities, we'll call it. What do you guys think? Because that's a great opportunity to get into an amazing place like Vancouver. Yeah, get in on the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. Give us a like and subscribe. See ya.
Thanks.